Good afternoon for the third time in HRL history, ladies and gentlemen. The first two races were won by Prying Stingray and yours truly at Russia and Spain respectively, but now, as you can see, we've moved on to the streets of Monaco for the third round, and not only that, but the qualifying session we needed full wets, a treacherous session in front of us all. Indeed, the tunnel, possibly the most difficult section of the track, as evidenced there by my loss of an end plate on the right side. Finally the harness gets out of my way. If you look in the slow motion here on my next lap, my end plate is not there, but then it magically appears. I'll get some freeze frames here with some lighter graphics. You can see, frame by frame, it went from not being there to being there at the exit of Portier, so very strange stuff there. At the end of that lap, we did get held a bit by the Sauber in front of us here. Could have gone a little bit faster, but at the time we went to provisional pole.
That's the fastest lap so far. Well done.
It would not stand up though. Indeed, by the end of the session it was time for intermediates, so the times were falling down. We went to the top.
Great time. You're currently on pole.
And then my teammate went to the top. We went across the line again, couldn't quite beat him, and in fact we lost out to Stingray as well, who was right behind us at the time. So P3 for the third time this week at Monaco in qualifying. Each time qualifying exactly the same spot. Each time so far I've come second and first, so hopefully that bodes well. What didn't bode well though was this formation lap. There was a massive traffic jam at Lowe's hairpin, and half the grid got disqualified from the lap, including myself and my teammate there. Hopefully that wouldn't be the case during the actual race, and we can have a clean getaway and 39 laps. Harry Ryan was potentially a favourite, but he started back in 5th, while his teammate Stingray was in front of us on pole. My teammate tried to go around the outside of him, not able to do it, and indeed, after the first corner it became a battle between Ferrari and McLaren, all of us populating the top 4. On lap 2 I got my only warning of the race when I realised I wouldn't make the swimming pool chicane. Thankfully, no further warnings for me and no penalties. Harry Ryan exhibited a lot of pace, and I just let him through. I didn't want to suffer any damage. It was only early in the race. I thought I might be able to have him go and attack the guys up front and see what would happen. Meanwhile, the Mercedes here lapped down early on, having a nightmare of a race, just about staying out of the way there at Casino Square. My teammate pitted very early. I thought this was my time to move up to P3, so I didn't think he'd be able to get to the end with a good strategy at least. He'd probably come out in traffic. Up ahead, there's yellow flags, there's a car in the wall. Turns out to be a Force India, the debuting Spilly or Spiley, not sure how you pronounce that. Slow-mo reveals just how close I came to him, and he was not ghosting, so that could have been very bad. That was Kroot once again getting out of the way in a strange position, and this one was possibly stranger. Thank you though for getting out of the way. Very much appreciated. In the pits, that is Harry Ryan going for a slightly earlier pit stop than I was going to do. We pitted a lap later. Stingray had to go longer because he started on super softs, of course, with qualifying being in the wet. Another car off to the right there, out of the race unfortunately, down to 9 runners. And that's Chucky retiring, so now down to 8.
Safety car deployed. The safety car has been deployed.
Oh, that's key. I decided to come in here. I thought I had a big enough gap back to Sam Sham.
Complete. Go now.
We'll see if I was right on the exit. No, I wasn't. Surprisingly, the 18-second deficit he had was not enough to keep him behind, so I'm wondering whether the delta may have screwed me over a little bit there. Either way, talking him screwed over, Stingray couldn't get into the pits at the right time, so he had to fall behind several cars here. So at the restart, it was Harry Ryan in the lead from 5th on the grid, a fantastic effort to progress that far. Sam Sham in front of us, with a bit of damage it has to be said, and having not pitted at the same time as us. He didn't need to pit again, but he didn't have fresh tyres and had a bit of damage. And things were made a lot easier for me at Casino Square when he tapped the wall on the inside, and I got through. Stingray unfortunately also got through at the same lap, and he was hounding me for the rest of the race.
The gap to teammate is 27.8 seconds.
That gap indicating that Alphonse had some issues.
Okay, gap to leader, 3.4 seconds.
This is the closest that Stingray managed to get to me. I wanted to hold off that P2 and increase my championship lead over him.
Caution, caution.
Caution, not sure who that's for. It might have been Rumble here. It's the penultimate lap. He's just retired, so his car should ghost or get out of my way at least. No, It really hasn't done that. In fact, it's crashed me into the wall, and that's my first damage of the race. Thankfully, Stingray wasn't right behind and able to gain the position.
We're seeing minor damage to the front wing. Be easy on the car till we get it repaired.
But for the rest of the lap, I had to defend and also get used to the new amount of downforce I had, which was far less, with that entire right end plate lopped off quite unceremoniously by a combination of the Red Bull and the barrier. Either way, it wasn't possible for Stingray to get past. Rumble there explaining himself. He indeed had no part in it. He'd actually retired. No blame, of course, going to him. And it turned out Stingray had plenty of penalties anyway, so I didn't have to worry about that position too much. But Harry Ryan does pick up the victory. Another win at Monaco for him, but the championship lead has grown for us. See you guys next time in Canada.